Big interview fans. We've got a privilege here because one of Europe's leading managers has interrupted his schedule to sit down and talk to us. Bruno Lage, good afternoon. Should I say boa tarde? I don't know if that's good enough. Bon dia.
Boa tarde.
Boa tarde.
Boa tarde.
Lovely to meet you. Thank you for sparing time.
You're welcome.
Time with us. I've got a question to ask you that's really basic to begin with, and if it sounds silly, I'm sorry, but I like to establish things. You are Bruno Miguel Silva do Nascimento, but everybody calls you Bruno Lage. What is happening with that? Please explain it.
That's why, because the people call me Bruno Lage, and then I need to adapt the name. And the reason is very clear, because my father is Fernando Lage Nascimento, so Lage comes from my grandmother and Nascimento from my grandfather. And in Portugal we only use the nice names, so I have Nascimento from my father and Silva from my mother. But when I started working in football, when I was 19, 20, the people call me or son of Lage or Bruno Lage, and it was in the beginning it was weird for me also, but after I need to adapt, because if I write my name in any paper, no one's know me, and I remember that in that days, when I was in Vitória Setúbal, when I started, to write your name in the papers just to see how many people go to the Christmas dinner, and I wrote my name, Bruno Nascimento, and there's one person over there when he tried to check everyone, and when he started to ask to the people, who is this guy? Who is this guy? Exactly. It was so strange because I was next to him. It's me. No. You need to put, and I think it was the first time to put Bruno Lage, and after 3 or 4 months over there, the people start calling me Bruno Lage, and so I need to go with Bruno Lage.
Two good things. It's nice that they respect.
And now it's strange when the people call me. If I go to the hospital or something, when the people call me for my name, sometimes I need to wake up. It's me. Now when they call me to Bruno Nascimento, okay, it's me.
Come on, Bruno. Where are you? It means you got your Christmas dinner as well, and it's nice respect to your dad as well.
No.
I'm glad.
I'm very proud. Look, I'm very proud to wear his name, because he did a fantastic career in the local in my city in Setúbal, as a player, as a manager, and for sure he's one of the big influences I have in my life. I don't remember too much the time he played, but I remember it was very clear the time he spent to organize his trainings and so on, and the teams and the conquers he had, because he won two titles in our region, and that comes a big influence. So I growing up with that idea to one day become a physical teacher, and in my part times I can be a manager in regional teams, and then the opportunity is coming, and every time I try to grow up learning, and after 20 years, I'm here.
Every dad watching this will be, I love that. The dad was the inspiration.
No.
It's a beautiful sentiment.
I have more persons that was important in my career, because, most of them, I always talk about them. The first manager I worked, José Rocha, was very important. After Jaime Graça was so special for me. Carlos Carvalhal, as you know, important person, but the first one for sure was my father, because I was watching him, I was living his life behind, and sometimes I think, look, maybe part of my success now, it was sometimes your insuccess, doing things that don't live anywhere, and I was behind him learning, like I did with José Rocha, what I did with Jaime Graça, with Carlos. When you are assistant, you try to, you go this way, it was okay, you go that way, and it was wrong. Sometimes it's not just the way you choose, but if you're behind them, you have the shield to protect, right? Because he's the manager, I'm just the assistant, I'm just watch. And after that, it's experience for you,
always soaking up knowledge and experience.
To be honest, I said that when the one opportunity comes, not in the B team, because you can draw easily, but especially when the first days in Benfica, I feel so comfortable that I think I'm going to be. I think I'm going to be a career at this level, and it went okay. We won one title, and now I'm here.
Let's go back to a little bit of some of the things that also formed you or caught your attention. Because you said a few months ago, born 12th May, it meant that your birthday often coincided with the English FA Cup final. Okay, so I guess by the time you're 14, I've stuck a pin in Manchester United Crystal Palace in 1990, thinking that when you're 14, maybe that's one game that caught your attention. But if you think back to those days, not just there was an FA Cup final, were there games where you went, wow, look at that tradition, look at that atmosphere that really stay in your memory?
Not any game in particular, but it was, I remember it, you want to celebrate with your friends and so on, and sometimes it can happen on the weekends when the final FA Cup final, and it's the tradition, the teams comes together, and we when you go back, that days in the 90s, looks like it was 3 or 4 years ago, but it was a long time ago, so 30 years. You don't watch too many football on TV like today. Even now, we did a training against a team, and people around the world are watching. And 30 years ago, it was impossible. We don't watch Spanish football in Portugal. We don't watch Spanish football, English football, maybe just the FA Cup, and it was there. I remember when the teams go for the pitch, the celebration. Every time I used to say a thing like that the English supporters, they celebrate a corner like Portuguese celebrate a goal, and they celebrate a goal like we celebrate a win, because the environment every time there. When I started working with cows, and I can leave that surprise, I remember sometimes we are winning 2-0 and the opponent score on goal, and it's a big celebration. So because just they score on goal, so I have that image, and that image when the team who won goes up with and celebrate with the cup, with that funny hats, with the supporters. So that's kind of things. And after when I lived that experience in Sheffield Wednesday with Carlos, it was that. Now I understand better why the people love football, because it's important, but in the end it's just a game, and we need to move on. We cannot wasting time to regret what we don't did in the game, and we need to move on. But I learned a lot. In that period. It was 2 years very important for me, because when you lose, especially with that mentality, maybe it's Latin mentality, when you lose, you are so upset with everything, and you spend a lot of days try to upset about the game, the defeat, what brings to you. And I remember in the first 2 months it was very strange, when playing at home or away, everyone after the game have 10 or 15 minutes between all and the manager room to talk about the games, and it was sometimes strange when we lose and comes the other managers celebrate with us, and when we won we were there and the guys are there, nothing happened. So I think that give me the experience that we need to move on. I need to be the first guy to be in front of my players with a face to see them. I can trust in them, and I'm confident that in the next game we will do better. And just look for what you control, and what you control is analyze what we did and try during the week prepare the team to be better next week.
So the English, before we talk about your coaching, your development, both at Benfica and Wolves, the English game has the culture, learning the culture. Because I looked at the book that you contributed to about tactical periodization with Carlos Carvalho. There's a nice diagram about the game model, and there's talk about having to build in the culture of the country or the city. The English football culture, particularly during your 2 experiences in it, has changed you, has educated you?
Yes, like I said, in that situation, because we have that And we share with Carlos and Joe Mario, because he's the other assistant. How after the game, when you lose or when you win, and the people are here, just talking about the game. And you know what? And Carlos one time said one thing, and it's true. You lose one game, and they are talking with the other manager just during 10-15 minutes about football, about the game, about life, and after. It
feels better.
Feel better, and it was a strange feeling, because for us is to stay in the room just between us and be there 1 hour. What happened today? Try to discuss everything, and we have that period. So that's not mean we are not upset because we lose. That's not mean that we like to lose, because people, and people around us confuse everything. But in the end, we need to know. We are inside. We understand that we lose. We need to be better. But we need to show that we confident to the people that are watching us, our fans, our players. We need to keep going.
It's a cathartic to stop, to speak, to see the other guy in defeat or victory, maybe have a glass of wine, exchange some knowledge, and then move on. It breathes out some of the anger and the pain of defeat, even though you have to reanalyze it. It takes some of the sting.
At least at that moment, you don't carry the wave, right? Because of the defeat, because it's a different. I don't know if I'm explaining right, but me, Carlos, and João, we felt that strange in the beginning, but after 2 or 3 months, this is good, and we need to move on. Even here, look, one of the things it's a thing when we travel here, we need to adapt as soon as possible. It's the rhythm and the dynamic of the game, right? Imagine if I have a game in Portugal, in the end, I can complain about one penalty, the referee don't give me. It's okay, I can talk about it, but I know if I talk too much about that, in England it's different, because the fans, okay, we know that, but what we did, our part, we need to do better. So that's also educate me better, and that's why I said every time, it was the big experience I have in my life is to work with Carlos in championship, when you don't have time for nothing. It's 44 games, and every game it's a hard game to play. And give me that experience to after 3 years, 2.5 in Sheffield, and after half season in Swansea in the Premier League, that I started to think maybe I'm ready to move on, and that's when I received the invitation from Benfica.
Thank you for that link. It's as if we practiced it. You're very good at this, because I'm going to give you a really difficult question now. If I look at the generations of talents that you saw or were coaching in the Benfica youth system, if we can talk about Bernardo Silva, Elder Costa, João Teixeira, Erison, Cancelo, Cavallero, Ruben Diaz, Renato Sanchez, but also if we can look at...
Renato, no. I didn't work with Renato.
He came a couple of years afterwards, yeah.
I worked with Renato in Swansea.
But I mean that there's a conglomeration of talent, and Portuguese football right now is consistently producing exceptional players. It's non-stop. A few years ago they were European champions, but you were one of the architects of what was happening, okay, at that club in the youth system. Is there a way you can explain why it is, when so many important things come together at the same time? One, why did it happen? And two, what was it like, not managing it, but you were continually stoking it, you were fueling it to grow with individual players, with groups of players, and with one big successful club. Can you give those that are listening to this an understanding of why it happened and how?
Yeah, it was like a teamwork of a lot of people, and I am just one of them. Luis worked with one of my sisters, and he's my brother. Worked also in Benfica during 14 years. Alex also in Benfica, but in that period, in 2004, Benfica tried to change a little bit this sports policy. So that period, big confusion in the club, and the main point was first build a new stadium, after build a new academy, create a department to work with the same philosophy, and then everything started in 2004. Comes a new director, and he wants to bring young people with motivation to work, and what happened like that? I was 27 at that time. A lot of people, and now they are also managers, and they do a lot of things now in the professional level. Everyone we start there. Recruitment, it was fundamental. We organized everything, and after 10 years, so 2004, 2014, we start to work with that generation. So most of these names, they born in 94, so in 2004, most of them would start working with me with 10 years, and they work. Most of them work 4 or 5 years with me, 2 or 3 years with Luis and with another coaches, and they grew up. So I was just part of a big team, of a big structure that with people we want to be same age, young people who wants to grow up, who wants to learn, who wants every time to improve, every time one season finish. We will look back, and what we see now for the path we did can be more faster, and for sure, when we look back, this generation, especially the guys who were born in 94, they were fantastic. You can include more names over there, because I can say Ederson, it was our goalkeeper when we were. He born in 93, but he played with that players when he started working with us under 17. So you have a long list of players. 94, it was very good. After, I think, comes 97, it's Renato Sanchez. After comes with Ruben Dias, Ferro, and still now, still going. So now it's the machine already. But every time the machine needs to continue to improve, and they are doing that. That's why, for me, that's not strange, because I know I was there. When I arrived, the B team, a lot of talents. When I moved to the A team, I talked with the chairman, and I need 5 players right away to start working with me in the first team. And they have Gonçalo Ramos, Henrique Araújo, top players, and they are ready to play when the manager wants for the first team. The most important thing for us is to understand this. So we start from nothing to create a pathway every time we get to turn fast this pathway. But the most important is we need to prepare them just for one thing. For the manager who work in the first team, when they see some quality in the players, you need to push him to put over there, to training with the rhythm, to training with the professional level. So that's the most important.
Advance them ahead of their age.
That's the most
test
important.
Them.
We need. That's the thing. Every time I say to these kids is, guys, when we arrive to 17, 18, 19, you need to show something for the people who work in the first team, for give them a chance to training there. At least the things you are doing here, let's see you are doing there. If you get that chance and you can do that, sometimes it's just a question. Sometimes you can go one time over there just training, and if you show that, you can get more opportunities to training there, and it's that you need. It's that you need for become this talent, because you need to work at that rhythm, and you need to work when we are 17, 19, 18, 19, you need to work with professionals.
If you take Bernardo Silva as one of those, how easier was it to get that mentality into him? And also, a lot of my career has been spent listening to the stories of, say, Alba or Xavi or Iniesta, who are similar physical proportions, and both the advantages of that, but also the difficulties that they had coming through. For some people to trust them, also if you're brilliantly talented and very clever, but you're small, you're petite, it still is difficult. People imagine that it's not difficult, but it is.
It's so easy to explain, and I never hide this from nothing. I start working with me. It was my captain. He play so with 19 you play 7 against 7. After when he start to play 11 against 11, under 11, you work with Luis, and after I work with him with 15, and to be honest, with 15 and 17, it was hard for him, and in that period, we can see that he have potential, but some of the guys show more things. In that period, a guy like João Teixeira, and he plays with Wolves, he can have better performance than Bernardo. But every time what we did is just not only with Bernardo. We have another player called Ricardo Horta, now he's in Braga. Small kids, they play, but when we go to the final stage that we're going to play against Porto, Benfica, Porto, Sporting, and so on, now it's time to focus on to win the last 4 games. The first title I won with that kids, used to see the big difference that Sporting team have for us. First game we play against them at home, we lose 6-2. Massive difference. But in the end, we won the league. Okay, and we don't put these kids to play against them because we have big generation, 94, we have players, very talented players, and every time we have chance, we put these kids to play in the team below, to compete, to continue to compete. When they start to play under 19 and the B team, and after that, big transformations. Credit for the managers who work with him, but the most credit is, that's why I think sometimes the hard life it's good for them, because they never accept they are not playing. They continue to work, they continue hard to work, to continue to improve. Every time Benfica have the chance to put them in the team below to play, and these 2 kids, they did a fantastic path. And when they come the chance to start to play, it was more in under 19 and in the B team. They say, I'm here, I'm ready, and they are doing a fantastic career.
Maybe simple maturity was one part of it, just mental maturity,
that's why, physical
maturity.
And that's why sometimes I joke, that's why sometimes some of the players use the excuse that I don't become a player because the manager don't put me to play. So Bernardo, it's a good excuse for us, because in that period he don't play too much, and for now, and in this moment, he's one of the best players in the world. The only thing I can say that it was the training, and I was obsessed, I still am obsessed for training. I give the training all the chances to everyone to learn and to improve themselves. No one, the players I work with them, can say in the training I don't have the chances to work, to learn, or to train in the right way. Everyone, but after in the end, and when you are a big team and you like a Benfica, and when you want to do a statement, we are here. Sporting in that period was the best academy, and you need to show things like good recruitment, more players in the national leagues, and start winning titles. And after that, with Benfica in that period, their generation won the under 15 title, and they don't won during 20 years. And after that, I think in 6 years we won 5. So it was the big transformation, a work that starts in 2004, and we start winning 2011, 2012.
I remember an interview we had with Benny McCarthy about his time at Porto, and Benny would say that Ricardo Carvalho, they had some name for him, Doris or Jesse, because according to Benny, Ricardo Carvalho was the worst trainer in the world. So sometimes Benny would say, Mourinho would say to him, go home, you're rubbish. But everybody knew that on Saturday or Sunday he'd be an 8 or a 9 out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
And my club is Aberdeen, and our greatest captain is a guy called Willie Miller, a sweeper, fantastic. And I was with one of his colleagues last week, and he said he was a terrible trainer. So there are men like that who exist. And again, the first time I saw it was with Lippi. I was with Lippi at Juventus, and we were guests there being shown training, and Paul Sousa was running around with 3 anoraks and 4 hats, and it was cold, and Lippi said, look at that guy, never scores in training, he trains terrible, but on Saturday, on Sunday, fantastic. Players like that exist, but they don't have much, you wouldn't have much time for them in your system where training, like you said, your obsession, you almost train and must perform in training almost better, or at least as well as you do in a match, right? Those types of guys are not your types of guys for your training exercises.
I have no idea, because I don't work with too much guys, and I don't know if today, because we are talking about these players, I talk about 20 years ago. I don't know if the mentality now.
Everything's changed.
I think it's changed a little bit, especially people understand to training. If you go now, I have 20 years of career. Now they spend 45 minutes just to get ready for training. They go to gym, they get prepared for everything. So, and 20 years ago, it's go there, change clothes, and go inside of the pitch.
Turn out, so walk out, kick the ball.
Things are changing, but you said a good example, and I don't know after you can do your search about that, but I think the first years of Ricardo Carvalho as a senior, he get on loan for small teams, and they get relegated. But 3 or 4 years like this give him the experience to do the career that he did. So the most important thing is that is every time to be aware what we have in our hands and create the balance. And create the balance when the kids are 10, 15, 17, 19, and try to see what is the best opportunities for them and also for us. Because in the same way I said to me, I was 8 years in Benfica, and when I don't see my career moving on, I choose a different direction. So sometimes in the youth, you need that. On senior level, you need to understand the player, and if the player gives you that, you need to understand it. It doesn't mean that you need to work hard, bad to play better. You need to create conditions that to go for him, like goals in the training. You do this, let's try the next one, do this, to change a little bit his mentality, or outside of the pitch, around him, with what kind of player you want to be, and change a little bit, try to put him to think about which direction you want in
challenges.
Little challenge that after sometimes they are there with you and they make the eyes face, like, I don't need advice, but when they are alone, these kind of players, when they are alone, they start thinking.
Your words are still in their head.
And after it's create also a good dynamic exercise that the guys get involved, and they think they are doing things, and in the moment they are important things that we can training and take for the game.
It's interesting because I was reading about the book that you participated in about the mode of training that's so important to you, and so much is focused on unifying all the different strands of a footballer's life, and communication is a big thing, and also getting inside the player's head, communicating. You might watch a game 2 or 3 times after it's happened, and you'll create clips to inform the player. And it feels like you're an intense communicator. Is there a time you have to worry about, so for example, again in the past, sorry to mention the past, Alex Ferguson was successful, but like he was a manager rather than a coach, didn't spend much time on the training ground. The things he said were inspirational, very man-to-man. They were like man management. Whereas my understanding is that you'd be much keener on constantly giving information to improve players, to correct mistakes. Do you have to be careful about how much you're in their head? You talked about just setting objectives around the training ground and the words stay with them and resonate. But do you have to be careful about like burnout or how much a player can take in terms of you wanting to improve them?
Of course, that's the main point out to the first communicate the other side. The people need to be there to listen. If you are not listening, and that's why we need to be. That's why sometimes when I say 2 or 3 times, it's like that. We watch like 30 minutes. 30 minutes should be our offensive game. In 90 minutes, we have 30 minutes of offensive game. After we select the best ones, will be around 12 minutes. After we watch again that 12 minutes, and after we go for the things that we can show 2 or 3 things that we can improve, or 2 or 3 things that we are doing better, and we need to continue to do it. So that's one part, and the other thing is to find the right moment to talk with him after the game, which is the best part to talk, or if it's necessary to talk, because sometimes we didn't talk. They know what they did. Sometimes just I watch. I don't need to show the image because I can talk with them because they know. Also, when you go to the games, what kind of information I need to give for these players, because like I told you, and you talk about Sir Alex Ferguson, and I was 6 months ago I talked with Rio Ferdinand, and we shared 30 minutes of a good talk when he went to our training ground, and he knows about football, and we talk about that, about different generations. We are talking about that generation, when they go on the bus, they don't have nothing. They don't have iPhones, they don't have music, they don't have nothing. So if they will talk about football. They will talk, we're going to play against, I don't know, Man United against Chelsea. Guys, we know they are playing with this system. I know I'm going to face this striker, how he moves, how this, how that. They have that because they don't have nothing. Today, I think these guys have a lot of things they have in their phones, in their iPhones, they have a lot of things.
Every film, every song.
Music, social media, films, so on. And that's one worry for us. In these days, we need to put them to watch things. That's my concern. Sometimes you don't need to watch, but you need to watch at home. And I don't know if some people watch at home. So I have some schedules that we can go there. Sometimes we are talking about our team. Sometimes we are talking about football, just for them, to give them things. Sometimes I don't talk and put on our TV, a lot of TVs we have in the gym, in the dressing room, on the cafeteria, some things that the guys, I'm here, lunch or in the gym, and I can watch a video for 3 or 4 minutes, and I know the images, videos, is powerful. Sometimes it's better not say nothing, and the image they know. So we need to replace that time that 20 years ago people was talking about football, or you go home and today we just have 3 or 4 channels and we know you have a game and you want to see, and today you have 100 channels, you have Netflix, you have Amazon, you have your iPhone, you have WhatsApp with message, we are talking and we are receiving message, photos, Instagram, social media. After you don't have time for little things.
But Bruno, this is fascinating because again, for somebody born in 1963, I've never seen a time when, in theory, more people are paying more attention to football. And maybe I'm talking about those who are outside the professional game. Because every kid who loves football sits and makes videos and they use the names of, and in the old days when I was growing up, nobody talked tactics in Britain. We won, we lost, We played badly, we played well, he's a hero, he's an idiot. On the weekends in Britain, growing up, no media put the 11 names of who would be playing, never mind positions or the opposite. Now, everybody wants to talk tactics, everybody believes they are a coach, everybody is posting. But you're suggesting that maybe within the game we're getting younger players who are spending less time devoted to watching 90 minutes of football because they flick in and out or there's lots of distractions, and you need to replicate what happened naturally.
Some examples, good examples about systems, about everything, about the position, about little things. If you I don't know if you sometimes you do interviews with younger players, so that's next time you can start ask them what was the last 90 minutes game they watched, and they will say. So we need to replace that because important for them, and we need to understand the modern days. We need to understand that they spend more time, they have more things to think about it, and
also they've spent less time playing in the garden, playing in the street, playing 5v7, the things
they can learn with them. Look, that's why sometimes I'm talking with João, and you know he wants to be a manager, and I usually joke with him that when he becomes manager, he don't have the luck I have, because now I can still have players, they know the game, and when I say they know the game, they know the position, and they can help the other guys. In 5 or 6 years, I don't see if still have this kind of players. You have, but maybe less guys to understand more that just the things that he can do, but the whole game, every position, you know. Just not, I know my position, but that's why after some great players become great managers, and some great players.
That's a frightening thing that you've said. That's João Moutinho you're talking to when you say like maybe you won't have the same luck. In 5, 6, 7, 10 years, there won't be players who understand the game.
That's why. No, it's not that
so broadly.
That's the thing that understand the game. That sometimes they need to. You change the systems. You playing in the different systems, and some of them. Okay, now I'm playing in a different system. What I should do? You know what I mean? They need to adapt.
I know what you mean, but I have to respect your authority ahead of mine. But when I watch football now, I see more intelligence on the pitch than when I was young. When I was young, I saw teams that could win, and they battled, and they were unified, and probably they went out to drink together, and they fought. Now, what I see more than when I was growing up is teams that are intelligent, that are flexible.
No, I'm not saying that the teams are not like that, because for sure all the managers in the world see the same things, that we need to spend more time teaching the things and talk about and share information. What I'm saying is not that the football grew up.
The raw material.
But we know that, don't make you confuse what I'm saying, that we need to replace the information after they know, you know what I mean? So don't get me wrong about that. We need to be there, and we need to think about that. Today, Man City plays against Man United, and 90% of our players don't watch, for example, and they don't. Or we're going to play against a team, pass on TV, and maybe they don't watch. So we need to replace that. What? Give information from the opponent. Give information. So let's talk about football in general. How we can play in one system, another system. After they know, when you talk with the players, and they know, but because the people are around them, and especially the managers today, spend some time to replace that time they don't have. Spend that time. Or replace that time, and they because before they will follow the knowledge. I want to learn, and now we need to provide information for them to learn. If not, they don't go to see the games. They don't. You know what I mean?
It's
I'm
a
not
good
talking-
explanation, yeah.
I'm not saying that they don't understand, but you need to provide them.
Yeah.
You need to provide them. If not, to grow up, and after that, it's stimulate. I'd watch some clips in a meeting.
I love the idea that in the cafe, in the gym, there are clips there that are just getting, and it makes them talk and think.
Exactly. We need that's so. One more time, don't get me wrong when I'm
No.
saying it's before. Maybe they invite 2 or 3 teammates to watch the game at their home, and they can discuss the football.
Yeah.
And maybe in these days, these kind of things don't happen. Sometimes they are, it's not just about football. Modern days, the young play, the young kids, and you go walk on the street, they are on the table like us, and they are drinking something, and everyone with their iPhone, and they don't communicate too much. So we need to provide that. We need to provide that for them. Okay, start talking. They are at lunch, see image, and they start talking. Stimulate them. Just the little things that we, and I believe I will not be the only one to do that, and I don't invent that. I learned that from my experience. So I saw different guys do that with image, with videos, with photos, and after that I experienced it. This is a good way that we put people talk, we put people understand what we want better, and we give the information we want for the players. That's why now more organization.
So I understand completely, but you pointed out there's one trend where footballers, young footballers, might not watch 90 minutes, or might say, I go for a film, or I go for my girlfriend, or I play a game rather than watch a match. Yeah. So other people have said, Florentino Perez at Madrid has said, for example, we need to think about catching the attention of young people watching, changing the structure of the games. Never mind the Super League, but maybe change the structure of games, make them 4 times 22 minutes. And at FIFA they're talking about whether the games should be shorter, or how to package football in order to meet the changes in the younger generations. Are you a fan of any of that? Now, not only talking about your footballers, but does football need to change the basic product of 90 minutes because the population and society is changing, or not?
I don't have a really opinion, but I think the only thing I changed, it was for now, and that's the thing I have. That's my opinion. It's sometimes the days between the games, because
not enough,
and sometimes we have sometimes the teams play 40-45 games per season, right? And now they're playing a lot of games. Even now, how much some players they play for a lot of competitions. After they finish, they go to national team, one more competition, so it means more games, and some of them have 2 or 3 weeks to switch off it. I think it's not enough. So not enough in the season, and sometimes, or most of the times, during the seasons. And we need to find a way, because after if you are playing, and if you are not game by game, and you are not fresh, and you don't have time to training to play better, after the games are the same. So I think that's the only thing I think a little bit. Next step was to change. Maybe now with the 5 subs, I think the rhythm and the intensity of the game.
It's a good idea, right?
Can change a little bit. Let's see what happened. It will be my first time with 5 with just 3 breaks, because if you break to do 5 one at a time, we won't kill the game.
Yeah.
Like the games in the preseason, after second half, it don't have you cannot take the same from what you get from the first half. So can be interesting to see how the rhythm continue. But one of the things is so important is the way you prepare the team to play in this level. And we are playing the Premier League, and Premier League level is so intense, and how many goals you can score in the end, happened with us last year. We score and we concede goals in the last minute, and the game change like that. So my concern is, and we have lucky because we just play 1 or 2 times per week, but the other teams, that's why it's so amazing to watch what the teams like City and Liverpool did. We play against Liverpool in the last minute, emotional, living that emotional since the first day until the end. After we start to win, City was losing, Liverpool in that moment won the league. So they get so emotions, and comes from one emotion to another emotion to another emotion after a long season, and play games, consecutive games, and with the travels, it's so hard that it was amazing to watch.
It was a brilliant finale. We'll go to the last section now, if it's okay. We have socios.
We'll do one more time, because I think don't get me wrong about that idea that the players don't understand the things. No. What I'm meaning is that we need to be aware that they don't spend too much time between them talking about football, watch football, and learn about
their culture. Their culture has changed.
That's why we need, the only thing is we need to provide and replace that knowledge they get just for talk in meetings, to provide, or just
I'm
when the people comes to meetings, or to put problems, to put questions, for them to start to think.
I'm hearing the vitamin industry, because in the old days, 30, 40 years ago, everybody ate food with the right vitamins in it, the right food groups. And then when people stop doing that and they eat fast food, then we need to give them vitamin supplements in order to replace that which is not there anymore. It feels like parallel ideas. We've been going for 7 years, and we've had 24 million listens. We've had people who have been our socios, our season ticket holders the whole time. They've been with us. Sometimes we ask them to send in questions. There's 2. One from Peter Allen saying, José Sá was one of the brilliant signings of the season. What do you look for when you try to recruit a keeper? And to any extent, did José surprise you with the power of his character and performance this season?
José is one of those names.
From 1990.
So he born in 93. I never worked with him, but when I meet him at the first day, I said to him, we have an image in my head, watching you say goodbye from Benfica Academy, because we have a talent goalkeepers. We have Ederson, we have Bruno Lage, now he's in Vitória de Guimarães, and you have him. And the decision was to keep these 2. It was that way I never worked with him, but the decision from the other managers was to keep those 2 and to release José. And José went for
Marítimo,
and so that's why difficult heart and the big the difficult challenge. And after, I don't know, it was 2012, after 10 years, he arrived in the Premier League. And so I'm not surprised with them, because I already know his talent. And when I talk about José, I need to talk about the work that Tony Robert do it with the goalkeepers. I met him in Swansea when I was with Carlos, and my first idea when I have the invitation is to invite him to work with me, but because I know what he can do, the organization he have in training, and the standards he wants. And if you remember what great seasons Muka Fabianski did with him, he worked in Arsenal with him, Swansea with him. Muka, for me, it's one of the best goalkeepers I work. And I said to José, look, you're going to work with one of the best goalkeepers coach. If you come to a mentality just not to come, but to come and to start to improve, you can do better and grow up. And he did. So it was a good. I'm happy because it was the right partnership between a goalkeeper, and it was, I don't know, a big responsibility, because he wants to come and replace a big name like Rui Patricio, and he did a fantastic season, a big evolution. And now the next step is important. I think José need to be a little bit more leader and to grow up as not is not, but to be
Still more.
the top of the top.
Top.
Because he have value for that. If you do that step, I'm here every day, every moment, and one more consistent season like he did in the previous one. I think he can be one of the good names in these days.
Gordon Holland is the next guy asking a question, and he's asking you to put yourself back at Villa Park, 2 down, come back to win 3-2 with seconds to go. Gordon says, when the rest of us were having heart attacks, Bruno was as cool as a cucumber on the touchline, but what was really going through his mind? That's the question.
Look, sometimes, even now, Gordon, right?
Gordon Holland.
If Gordon go watch my games in Benfica and so on, I never celebrate too much. So every time I be there and come, when I finish the game, now we have the 3 points, we can celebrate. But during the game, I'm not that kind of man. Sometimes I celebrate a little bit, but not much. I want to take. I was like this as assistant, and now as a manager, and I want to take the emotional side out of me and try to every time think about the game. And what happened in that day, it was football. I remember that day we start well. We didn't play with Raul. He comes from. He arrived just the day before from Mexico. We start with Wang. Wang also we have a big trip from, I don't know, we flight more than 12 hours. And we start well in the game, but they score two goals because the strikers they are amazing and they score 2 goals. And we change a little bit. We put Daniel, because Daniel, it was in that moment that Daniel, as you know, he started the season with injuries, with some problems. We put Daniel, we put Fabio, and Daniel started to play between the lines, receive the ball between the lines. We score 1 goal, and after we see that Aston Villa comes from 4 or 5 bad results, and we see the guys start to motivate. After we scored in the corner, after the last minute, when the Ruben scored that goal, the ball touched on the wall, and we scored the 3-2. It's football. In the same way, we were playing better against Liverpool, and we lose 1-0, or we're playing very good against Leeds 2-0, and after Raul sent off, they changed the game for them. But the thing is about me is every time try to be just try to understand. Don't live too much the emotion of the game, and try to be the coolest guy in the world to help my team in that moment.
It seems like the right priority. The last thing then to leave you with, because your time is valuable, you're going into a season where there's going to be a World Cup in the middle of a domestic season. It's crazy. I know that there are some coaches in Europe who are planning for their players, their groups of players, because there'll be one group of players that goes to the World Cup and does quite well, and they come back happy and fresh and full of energy. There'll be one group that goes to the World Cup and maybe does okay, and they come back thinking, well, I played in a World Cup, but we didn't win, we didn't go so good. One group of players who come back upset, broken, they played badly, they feel sore. And one group of players who never go to the World Cup and who stay with you. So with the quality of planning that...
There's one more group, that's the guys who play in the World Cup, and after 3 or 4 days opens the transfer windows and they go. So it's not 4 groups, it's 5 groups.
How the hell?
We need to think about everything.
How the hell do you plan for that? And then when they come back, even the guys, maybe you have some guys who come back and they've lifted the World Cup. 3 days later, bang, it's Newcastle away. 4 days after that, it's Liverpool at home. How do you...
Sometimes we need to... That's why in these days it's so hard to be manager and to try to control everything. That's why one of the most important things it's my staff, so it's just not me. With me, I have 6 persons, and the persons also, they link with the departments of the club. So maybe our club, all the partners are just for football have around, I don't know, 25, 30% to think about everything. And in that period, we're going to be, for sure, very different than the others. We're going to spend more time in the break of the middle of the season. It's more time than during season. So the break will be around what, six. It's going to be a big weekend after that, a big break, and after that start one game, right, and then start a new transfer window. So it will be strange for sure. So I think our plan, when we are preparing the things in that way, we need to look for what happened, especially Wolves, what can happen in the next 3 months until middle of November. After that, the players go to World Cup, like you said, someone stay, and you never know what happened. So we need to manage individual, how they come, how many players stays with us. After some players just play 3 games and return. After some players go to the final and return. So we need to be specific, like we did in the preseason. So we want to give at least 3 weeks to everyone. We start on 27. Why? Because the guys who don't play for national team, and it was very important. And now I feel happy for that decision. We prefer to start early with, 5 players. But if you remember, Johnny was injured. Pedro, it was injured, and we tried to put him in the good level last season, and we don't have enough time. And he scored against Liverpool, and after 10 minutes he asked for a sub. And so we take the decision. Let's go 1 week early. So we start 27 with these players, and we bring all the players from the academy to work with them. And it was good because now I can see Pedro starting the preseason very well. He scored goals, he feels confident. Johnny the same way. So we take the decision because of that. After, on 4th, we start with Portugal played on a Saturday, so we give 3 weeks for them. So everyone was here on Monday to start. Cody and Leander, they play on Tuesday, so they just arrive at the same day on Wednesday, for them to also to have the same 3 weeks. And Wang, he played national team, and he went to for the course of military course, and he come back just for the camp. So we need to go case by case, and to understand the moment of the season. This one was in the last moment, so it was like finish the season, and we take the decisions. And to be honest, in this moment, I'm very happy with the decision we did, because everyone come fresh, and the guys who don't play for national team, they have 1 more week that we can spend more time with them. We can grow up step by step their performance, and the decision was more about Johnny and Pedro, and they are in the good moment. So let's see what happened. The way the Premier League goes until middle of November, and after we need to understand case by case. We need to, how many days we need to rest a little bit, how many players come back to training, how we go, so to put everyone at the same level when they start the competition. Will be in Christmas 24, right?
December 24. Maybe the thing to do is to use the World Cup for all the players who stay behind. You make it an obligation that they have to watch 90 minutes every day. Maybe that's the best way to bring.
I need to take their phones.
Take their phones and everything away from them.
And one more thing, it's, as you know, that we need to have also in our mind that they go and they will play in the different systems, sometimes in different positions, sometimes in the different rhythms. So it's a lot of things.
Different disciplines, because some international coaches say, guys, easy time, you give me performances on the pitch, the training is easy.
Also,
some guys are like strict, it's a total change.
And also the weather, for sure. They will, in Portugal, Spain or England, the weather will be one, and in Qatar that period will be different. So it's a lot of things to think about it. That's why I used to say it's one day at a time. One day at a time. You never know what happens next day. What I can control, it's the work. So what you can control, we performed well last night. Different system. Our players are received the idea very well. They are trying very hard to play like that. And no, what I want is to when to start the season, the season against Leeds. I look at my team and I can see my team now can dominate very well two systems.
So better flexibility, so more difficult for the rival to predict what you're going to play like.
That's it. Same dynamic, but different systems.
Gordon Holland, you've learned why Bruno is cool as a cucumber. Control what you can control one day at a time and dominate lots of systems if you can. Bruno Lage, Bruno Nascimento, it's been a pleasure talking to you. Good luck for the season.
Okay.
Thank you for sharing your knowledge.
Thank you. You're welcome.